Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Mr. Abdul Halim Yusuf, as the Chief Executive Officer acting for Malaysia Waqf Foundation, Honorable Mr. Ruslan Sabit, Director General of Jawhar, Datuk Muhammad Najib Abdullah, Chairman of Public Islamic Bank Berhad, Your Excellencies, High Commissioner and Ambassadors, our strategic partners, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Islamic Development Department of Malaysia, our sponsors, Public Islamic Bank Berhad and the Federal Territory Islamic Religious Council, members of Board of Trustees of Malaysia Waqf Foundation, and representatives from State Islamic Religious Council and from various Islamic financial institutions, members of the media, and ladies and gentlemen, not forgetting our team that have worked so hard to get all of you here today. A round of applause to all of you. And thank you, Mr. MC. That is very impressive. In 3 languages, I don't think I can beat that. Alhamdulillah, I'm very pleased to be with all of you. And I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making it possible for me to be here with you today to share my inner thoughts and inner feelings in this keynote address, which is on the rejuvenation of Waqf towards socio-economic empowerment. For years, the public sector have done a lot for Waqf. The individual players, the NGOs, academicians, they have been on the forefront of Waqf. However, sadly, the government seems to be struggling putting our acts together. The government have done for the past 10 years, have put the Waqf Foundation in place. However, all these players are looking for direction. They're looking for stronger policies. They're looking at what is the way forward that should be certainly paid by the government. As has been mentioned by Mr. Halim just now, in Malaysia, Waqf is a sleeping giant. Not in other parts of the world. In Turkey, for example, it is very much part and parcel of the everyday dealings, interactions by the community. I mean, there's Waqf for everyone and every human being, for example, in Turkey. I mean, you have even Waqf for stray cats. But in Malaysia here, we are struggling to develop our 30,000 acres of Waqf land in the States. The mindset is that Waqf is a cost center. It incurs cost. So how do we develop this land? Because the thinking is that Waqf is for mosques. Waqf is for graveyards. Waqf is Quran given to the mosque. Or it could be in the form of prayer mats. But this is the traditional thinking of Waqf in Malaysia. But when I go down and visit and look at the initiatives by the various individuals at their own level, whether it be the academician, whether it be individuals, NGOs, even the private sector, I can see that they are so much more advanced. I would like to share this with you. what is behind my thought in this keynote. I always believe that when we have a problem, there's always an opportunity. Let us share the situation we are in Malaysia. We used to measure our poverty line, the state of poverty in Malaysia, using the household survey index. That put us at 0.4%, yeah, of the population of Malaysia below poverty line. The United Nations have a different view on this and have been very critical of Malaysia, the way we measure poverty, how we define poverty. And I myself, when I was in the opposition, have promoted the idea that there should be a different means of measurement. And today, a few weeks back, the Prime Minister in Parliament answered a question to Port Dickson, the Member of Parliament for Port Dickson, Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim, on how do we measure poverty in Malaysia. Forward-looking, we are going to look at multi-dimension index. We're not just going to look at poverty from the 3 basic needs, as it used to be. Basic needs means you have a shelter over your head, you have food to eat, and that's it. Education, healthcare, quality of life must be part of that multi-dimension index that is taken into consideration when we measure poverty. So if we look at the new measurement, the multi-dimensional index measurement, which takes into consideration all these other factors, not just a roof which is full of holes, yeah, I see the poor people, sometimes I ask them, where do you sleep? Because you look up, sometimes they put bottles, sometimes they put the umbrella open, upside down, just to capture the rainwater. And I ask them, where do you sleep? And then the answer I get is that we hardly find a corner. We find a corner where the rainwater does not go through our roof. But yet, before this, the government was proud to say that 0.4% is below poverty level. We cannot fool ourselves. We shouldn't fool ourselves. Because at the end of the day, if you don't recognize the fact that there are so many people who have difficulties making ends meet, have difficulties putting food on the table, and have difficulties, we've read about children just having one pair of school uniform, or babies needing to have to go through an operation, but yet having to raise funds, asking from others to ensure that we can achieve and have that operation on this baby that needs to be operated on. These are everyday news in the newspaper. If we use the multidimensional index to measure poverty in Malaysia, the numbers easily rise to 20%. We have about 20% of the population of Malaysia below poverty line. That's very high. And that is the reality. And this new government is not afraid to admit that. And nevertheless, we do have to address this. We have a situation where schools are badly in need of repair. Hospitals, where we have the nurses working in conditions sometimes which is not humane for them to work in. Hospital beds, where the tires are, they are old hospital beds, and when you wheel it to the operating theatre, all the attendants say they have backache because the tires wobble. This is a reality. Operating theatres sometimes not functioning because of the compressor, of the air conditioner not working. The realities in our hospitals, the realities in our population, in the villages, there's no proper roads. Some women in the interiors of Sabah and Sarawak have to walk hours for their delivery. Can you imagine? You are in pain, you are in labor, and you have to walk up hills, down hills, across the river just to deliver your baby because there's no healthcare or hospital nearby. That's the situation in Malaysia. Admit it. And if you look at those who receive the bantuan sara hidup, yeah, it's a huge number. So, we have always depended on the public sector. We have always depended on taxpayers' money. Later, the public sector came in and did their bit. But some of these public sectors, they have a lot of funds for CSR, but they don't have clear directions on how to use it. So some of the monies are not spent. And this is also the reality. They're waiting for the government to have good policies, good incentives, and so on, so that they can spend it in the right direction. But yet, that was not coming. I mean, this is the situation that I would just like to share. The problem that I described earlier is also an opportunity for us to develop the third sector of the economy. The public, the private, and the Waqf economy. If we can have a consolidated funds from zakat and Waqf and develop our institutions, we have a chance to empower the socio-economy of the ummah. But it needs very clear direction. It needs very strong driving force and the will of the government. The idea that I'm sharing with you is, I've been repeating this on many platforms, on many occasions, and I wish to share with you so that you can also be the mouthpiece and share with others out there. Can we make Waqf a household name? As our children knows, do they call it cannot, or do they call it conflicts? It's Kellogg's, isn't it? Whereas conflicts is the breakfast cereal, but sometimes it's Kellogg's. Or it's Colgate. It's not toothpaste. Even if they have a brand, Dali, they still call it Colgate. Because the brand is so strong. The brand is Colgate. So if it's toothpaste in any other brand, it's still Colgate. So it's Colgate Dali. Do you follow me? Can we make Waqf that household name? Can we awaken this sleeping giant? Can we make it such that it is an opportunity for Muslims to make as much ajar as possible? Because Waqf is one of the three that we know as Muslims that a Muslim bring into the hereafter. One of it is the dua from a Salleh child. Another one is the knowledge that you share that people continue to use. And the third is good deeds, that benefits others perpetually. Yeah? Perpetually. That is the Waqf element. If we can inculcate in our children from when they are young on the need to do Waqf. I mean, we go to the mosque, we bring our children, we teach them, we give them a ringgit, we give them 2 ringgit, 5 ringgit, and we show them to put money in the box. We teach our children to give sedekah. When we see someone poor, we teach our children to give sedekah. Because it is part of our culture in bringing up our children. But can we, this is a challenge, can we also inculcate in our children to save and give to Waqf? So that our children understand that this is something that they will take with them to the hereafter, where the benefit is perpetual. If our children can have a saving and buy a piece of brick to build a mosque, or have a piggy bank, we can call it piggy bank, there's tabung, save money to buy 1 square foot in building a hospital where the asna can get free service, 5-star service, and it's free for the asna. Our children will be encouraged from small to make it a household brand, make it a part of their daily interactions, to be compassionate to the poor, to have this vision and mission to do something that has perpetual benefit for them. I think it is a challenge for us. It is a challenge for us. Because recently I was in one of the discussions which involved the panel for advisors, Sharia advisors for Islamic institutions. And I tell them, can you think of how we should amend the law? Can you think on how we should give incentives, on how we can do something? If you look at Amanah Raya, to give you an example, you look at Amanah Raya, there's 64 billion ringgit in Amanah Raya that is frozen. Why? Because the family could not resolve the issue. So someone who has died the disease will be restless in his grave because of the dispute amongst the descendants. Can we think how we can change this? Can we liquidify? Can we get access to these funds and turn it into Waqf funds and use it for the Ummah? And then they tell me, oh, we need to amend the law. Then amend the law. Go ahead. Think of something. If we need to amend the law, we should amend the law. If we need to look at procedures, we should look at it. It's there. 64 billion. The disease, arwah, is restless in the grave because of the children and descendants having dispute. Turn it into something that he will benefit from. Turn the funds into Waqf funds that can develop the socio-economy of the Ummah. I think this way forward, this thinking needs to be translated into policies and into action plans, into laws, bills, procedures, guidelines, whatever it is. I leave to the experts to do it. I see a lot of initiatives from the private sector. I see that universities, they have a Waqf for education. But they go under a different act. And then we have, because the Waqf is, for us, Halim uses the word unique. I uses the word complicated. I think we make it complicated. Because it's under the state, it's purview of the state, it is my territory. Mine, and mine alone. So this state says, okay, this is my territory. You cannot cross the borders. So members from another state cannot cross the borders. So if you want to collect Waqf or Zakat, for that matter, you must only collect from the state where you reside. So otherwise you'll be crossing the borders. And then that will create wrath, anger from the other states. It's very complicated. Because at the end of the day, we are the one who stand to lose out. So, Waqf become a cost center, 30,000 acres not developed. We are not developing our Waqf for the benefit of the Ummah. Even zakat, we will be complaining about one state crossing and collecting zakat from another state. But they give more incentives. They give higher wakalah. So I said, why don't you give higher wakalah as well? Healthy, right? There's no hard and fast rule about how much you give. Then there's always this, but then we will lose out and so on. But at the end of the day, the Ummah benefits. I give you an example of a model that we are developing, and I really, really wish that this model will materialize soon. It's a model on hospital, Waqf, that we are working on. There's a team of doctors, specialists, who wants to work with us, the Awqaf Foundation. We have hospitals that we want to turn into Waqf hospitals. What do we mean by this? Because when people talk about hospitals for the poor, they think that it is low class. The idea is this, it's a 5-star service with 3-star price. Free for us now. Can we do that? Yes, if we have the will. No, if we are working in silos. No, if we are territorial. No, if we are old school and insist that this is our territory, that we cannot cross borders. Yes, if we have the will. 5-star service, 3-star price, free for us. Then we are moving forward. Can we have Waqf universities? With whatever we have now, can we have Waqf universities, the like of Oxford or the like of Al-Azhar? Surely we can. Where the Asnaf, where we can have this policies such as every family of Asnaf must send their children to these universities. They must be given a chance to change and put a stop to the poverty cycle of their elders. They didn't go through what their parents went through. I'll share with you again about this hospital Waqf. This group of specialists, they want to Waqf part of their expertise, so they won't be charging the normal rate that other hospitals are charging. So you cut costs. We can have operating theatres built on Waqf funds. We can build the hospital on Waqf funds. So it will cut down the cost. We can have takaful for in-house and inpatient and outpatient for Asnaf. I mean, this is just using whatever instruments that we have, and of course Malaysia is one of the best in the world in terms of Islamic financial instruments. So in order, I mean, you can imagine if we have this, I mean, they Waqf some of their expertise, their specialization, so the fees go down. We build the operating theatres, the hospitals from Waqf, so it will go down. We have funds, yeah, for takaful, for inpatient, outpatient, for the Asnaf, so they will get it free. 3-star price is when, for example, when a woman go for delivery, for cesarean section, she will normally have to pay about 8,000 ringgit. And if she has insurance, and if she works in a company that have insurance, normally insurance will pay 4,000 ringgit. So she will have to top up the difference. But with a Waqf hospital, the cost should come to about 4,000 ringgit because of the service of the doctors, which are partly Waqf. They don't take the full salary, especially doctors. So they bring down the price, and that becomes attractive because of the 3-star price. So that will encourage people with insurance to use the service of our hospital, whether they be Muslims or non-Muslims. Remember, we want the asnaf to get free in-house and inpatient and outpatient. How do we do that? So we must have one Waqf fund and we must have one zakat funds. This is where, when the specialist comes in, and I spoke to CEO of Mawid, the specialists, before this, very few specialist doctors come to pay zakat in wilayah. Why? Because they are offered higher wakalah in other states. I think there's a number of about 8. And the specialists, their zakat is about 300,000 a year. So we were discussing on how we can encourage these specialists to pay zakat where it will benefit our Waqf hospital. So if the specialist doctor pay zakat in the federal territory, we offer them a higher wakalah, competitive, competitive to other states. Say if it's 50%, if 50%. It is not for themselves, because the wakalah will go to the fund for zakat, and that will be used to buy the takaful for the inpatient and the outpatient. So it is a workable plan, totally workable. So you have the people with insurance coming in, the asnaf having the takaful, insurance for them, because not everybody gets sick every day. Not everybody gets sick every day. So you have these takaful funds, and you have these zakat funds that you will translate into takaful insurance for their inpatient and outpatient. And you take care of the cost because of the Waqf inputs there. I think it's a totally workable solution. And if we can expand further, building of schools, tahfiz, for example, universities, and we can go, the possibility is endless. Especially if we can unlock this potential. We can awaken the sleeping giant. We can make it a household brand and a household name. We can make our children, we can get our children excited about giving up. We can. I believe we can. But this is where everybody had to come in. I spoke to the Securities Commission. And I said to them, you have more than 800 companies that are Sharia compliant, registered with the Securities Commission. Do you think you can encourage all of them to do something with regards to their CSR, put it in a consolidated fund for us to develop Waqf? Then they said, yes, but they will need certain incentives. I said, yes, they need certain incentives. Then what are you doing about it? Go on, do something about it. Create that incentives. For example, what we have done is to influence MOF to give tax exemption for Waqf and endowment. We are committed. That's why we are pushing for that. And alhamdulillah, in the budget, it has been announced. So what I would like to see is a model of poverty eradication in our states using Waqf, Zakat, Sadaqah, especially Waqf and Zakat, in a consolidated fund that can be used to all the programs, in all of the programs, to empower the asnaf. And we must have KPIs, we must measure the success, we must bring them out of poverty, we must make the children successful and not repeat the cycle of their parents. I believe we can do it. Just needs the will. It needs us to direct our efforts. And people out there who understand, the academicians, the players, the industry players, they want to see something concrete from the government. I'm sharing with you this, and I would like to see Wilayah Persekutuan as a model to implement that. With the hospital Waqf, university Waqf, and the funds, yeah, to actually develop the programs for poverty eradication, programs for entrepreneur development, for example, education, healthcare, housing. I'm working with the Ministry of Housing to offer to the states, yeah, to offer to the states that have Waqf land to develop the Waqf land with funding from the ministries to build rent to own. Because these people cannot have loans, they cannot take loans, they will not, I mean, they don't have bank accounts, some of them. So they need to be able to have rent to owns. We need to think to that level. And I believe all of you puts your head together. I believe that it can be done. So rent to own, working strategic partners, the federal, the government with the state. I'm also bringing in IDB, because before this IDB have always, they have told me, I met them recently, they have told me they met with players, they met with academicians, but they have not met the government. They don't even know that we have an Waqf Foundation. So when they knew that we have an Waqf Foundation, they were so excited that now finally they get to work with the government. Because whatever it is, at the end of the day, you know, that is, when the government is involved, we assume that there is direction, policies, and way forward. I would really like to see that this empowerment of socio-economy be in the 12th Malaysia Plan. It must be part of the master plan in the 12th Malaysia Plan. And not the normal thinking of Waqf, but the thinking of Waqf that I'm sharing with you today. To empower the socio-economy of the Ummah using these various instruments without, if possible, depending on taxpayers' money. Because the taxpayers' money as it is now is not enough to maintain whatever development and management that is needed by the country. So I hope that I've got all of you excited. I hope that you are in a position to share this, yeah, with the others, the rest of the Malaysians and the world in your platform as you present to the world. I'm also in the process of preparing the blueprint. I hope that, make dua that we will come up with a blueprint on the socio-economy of the Ummah with the Waqf and the Zakat. So that blueprint and the model in Wilayah, yeah, if we can have the model in Wilayah, we have a blueprint, we have it in the 12th Malaysia Plan. If we can share our success stories and we can elevate the asnaf from receiving zakat to giving zakat. If we can give them a quality of life where they can have proper housing, proper education, proper healthcare, quality of life, then we are putting all our efforts together to do this for the Ummah. Are you with me? Inshallah, are you with me? Inshallah. So, that is, other things for me, technical, other things, I think we can manage that in other platforms after this, but I think it suffices for me to share this vision, and I hope that the Waqf Foundation will play its role with the assistance of Jauhar and Mawib to be this model that we have planned to come out with a blueprint and to leave a legacy behind. It is our responsibility for the future generation to leave behind to them a legacy that they can call their own. The results will be where our children will feel that it is part of their upbringing to do something in terms of Waqf and zakat. The difference is that zakat is compulsory and waqaf is not. And that is why we have difficulty empowering waqaf. But as I say, a problem can be an opportunity. The state of the ummah is an opportunity for the rest of the ummah to come together, to give their contributions, and the part of the government to provide the direction. And I have to say that governance is very, very important aspect to this. That is why we're bringing in the Waqf bill to Parliament. We're working very hard to make sure we don't miss the deadline. And we plan to table it on the 2nd of December in Parliament, inshallah. So it's like this. But this is what I mean by will. The draft of the bill has been there for ages, but it has not been brought to Parliament. Now we're pushing for it because governance is very important and sustainability. If we have governance, we have sustainability, meaning that there is a mechanism to make sure that the procedures are being adhered to. We want the benefit for the person who gives the waqf. We want the benefit for those implementers. And inshallah, once it becomes a household brand, it becomes part of bringing up our family. Everyone can do waqf. Maybe you should have a tagline. Everyone can do waqf. You can waqf a brick, you can waqf on square foot. You don't need to wait to have a piece of land to waqf. You don't need to have immense wealth to waqf. Then people think, oh, they are so generous, they give for waqf. Yeah, because they're rich. But why do we deny the other Muslims who are not so rich to also have this perpetual benefit that they can bring to the hereafter? Why don't we set up the platform, infrastructure for the ummah to contribute and empower the rest? So with that, I end my speech. I thank you very much again. I would like to congratulate the organizers again. And I know they work very hard. And they are very excited because I think the Awqaf Foundation have been around for the past 10 years. But I think we are reaching a new landmark. And the direction is clear. And they are working very hard, and I'm driving them very hard too. So inshallah, with that I conclude my speech. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.